right. So, like, I figured we'd just kind of go over it too. You just think yourself as a guest?
I mean, I'm a guest in your apartment.
Well, yeah. But for the podcast, like,
No, like I'm down to like
for sure, yeah. Because I was thinking it'd be like
a duo kind of thing.
Yeah, for a while, like
1000%.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. So welcome to the first recording of Nous, Shen.
Notion, is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to go with. So it's Nous, Nous, which is Greek for the mind, for reason, really. Oh yeah, I got a bug friend.
Oh, no, it's all good, man. All friends are welcome here.
And Shen is the Chinese concept of the mind and reason and thought, and it's also the concept of motor skill, which I'm sure eventually we'll get to. But the idea that we had when we came up with this podcast, because no one knows us yet, so we got to kind of introduce ourselves.
Exactly.
So do you want to? I've been talking for a bit. Do you want to talk about how this kind of got started?
Yes. So name's Malachi, Auston.
Yep, Auston.
And we work together, right? And Austin and I figured out that we shared a common interest in philosophy, science, nature, and fitness. We all seem to kind of vibe with those categories, and so we were having a lot of discussions at work and things like that about it, and so we decided to record it and see if it was interesting enough for anyone to watch. So there you guys go.
Yeah,
that's how we came up with the idea of Notion, which sounds like notion, ocean. All sorts of different play on words with that in itself, you know?
I really liked, you picked up on the concept of notion, and I even had to look it up because it's like, it means like a belief or something, just a quick belief.
Right.
I had a notion about something. And so we thought we'd just come on here and talk about philosophy and different ideas and play chess, which is dope, and just kind of see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm about it, man.
Hell yeah.
I'm about it.
So quick question on chess. Is the king or the queen supposed to be on the same color?
Bitch gets her square.
Bitch gets her square.
Yep.
Got it. All right. Cool.
That's how I always remember it. Women always get what they want. I don't know if that's in philosophy, but it should be.
All right. I'm going to make an opening move. This is pretty cool. Man, this was a good idea.
I'm glad you liked it. I was like, he might think this is stupid.
No, I definitely think it's nice. I don't know anything about openings. I just...
I know a few vaguely.
Okay.
Like, so nothing crazy. I've been practicing one called the Scandinavian, which is actually the exact opposite of what I just did. Is opening
in front of the queen.
Yeah, in front of this. It's also depending on how it plays out, it can be called the Queen's Gambit, the Scandinavian. Got a couple different names to how they digress.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I'm really familiar with is like forks and pins.
Yeah, which are very important. That's better than any opening right there. Well, a lot of times, like I play chess online, right? Like, every day. Like I've actually played a couple games today, just fucking off.
Nice.
And one thing I notice is most people, when they lose their queen, they just quit. I don't do that. I never quit. And one of the reasons is in games are super, super important, and they're the most underutilized thing. And there's so many times that like I'll blunder my queen away, right?
Yeah.
And people will just give up and think that people will give up and think they can't win. But however, I come in and keep doing my thing, and so many times I actually end up drawing or winning.
Okay.
And you know, to me that's kind of like symbolic of life. Is you know, when you're constantly thinking you're going to give up, you're not going to do anything. You're right. Like there's not a lot of things to be done when all you're thinking is negatively. Like,
so if you're saying like when you lose like something really powerful, you just want to give up?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Just because something's going to be harder to do doesn't mean it's not worth doing.
Absolutely. Okay. Time to start. Let's develop a little bit of game. Okay. Not as good as I bet you are.
I'm really not that great. I used to be significantly better, but like anything else in life, if you don't study and practice at it, you lose it.
Absolutely. Oh man, dude, too true. Like I've been studying a lot of stuff about fitness and everything, and one thing I've noticed is I feel like I'm opening up my backline way too much. But the things that I thought I knew, I didn't know as much as I knew when I went back to check the math.
Ain't that always a bitch?
Yeah, God, it is.
It's like translating this to chess, right? Since this is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
There for a while, I was very decent. I'm not gonna say any kind of like master, grandmaster things or anything like that, but like I would watch chess. Like there's a chess YouTube channel I enjoy,
right?
And I would watch it pretty consistently, and I don't know. I would see moves, right? Like because I was watching it so much, I was playing it so much.
Yeah.
And when I stopped doing all of that, I just totally like now when I play, like I can't find it like I could.
Really?
Yeah. It's super freaking frustrating.
Yeah.
Check.
Okay.
From the queen.
Man. To a block by the rook. Or that's not the rook, that's the knight. Is there a different name for the knight?
No, just the knight.
Okay.
And so like I'll play now and like I'll just continuously find myself frustrated because I'm just like, why can I not find these moves?
Right.
And but again, you know, when you're not constantly doing something, you know, I mean, it's like running, like I went on a mile run today, right?
Oh yeah.
And I did it in like 9 minutes and 17 seconds.
Okay.
Which isn't terrible, which isn't great. And just a couple of years ago, I was running consistently at a like I could run 7 miles on like 8-minute paces. And like doing that today, even though like I was giving it like literally everything I possibly had, the best I could do was like 9 minutes. Well, not probably the best entirely, right? There's always more left, but like I was pushing today.
Yeah.
And like knowing that I could do 1 mile and was exhausted at 9 minutes and 17 seconds compared to just a couple years ago when I was doing like 7-8 miles, sometimes 13 miles, and keeping between 8-minute paces.
You run like a half marathon at an 8-minute pace?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Bro, I obsess over anything and everything I do, man. It's a gift and a curse on so many levels.
For sure. Do you want any tea?
Like what kind of tea? What kind of tea you got?
It's hot lime, mint, and rosemary.
Love it. Let's try it out,
right.
man.
Let me make my move. All right. Let me get that tea.
All right.
Let's get this stuff. It's still hot. Still warm. Heat it up a little more. Yeah. It's the hot juice water question.
Yeah, I love it. We got to introduce that on the podcast. We've just been kind of fucking off, but
yeah. No, I think this might be a really good opening. Like, just kind of chill out, play a game or two of chess, and then like figure out what to talk about. And then...
Right. So I've while you're cutting up the lemons, I just started Ralph Emerson's spirit. I think I'm saying his name right. Spiritual Immersion. Okay. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
No. Okay. I've read the name to Lida before I started it, which is my girlfriend, guys, and she immediately recognized his name as like a lover of nature. Like apparently, like she's big. Like I read about nature, but like I read more of philosophy and science at the moment, and all she reads is like nature shit, and which I absolutely love. Like every book she has, like I've told her, I'm gonna read at some point, just a matter of finding the time.
For sure. And how would you do the difference? What do you mean difference between philosophy and nature right now? Like,
okay, so okay, so she reads. While I read about philosophy, and it does a lot of books I have tie into nature. she reads books about like park rangers, about she's a huge lover of John Muir. To a lot of people that don't know this, Roosevelt gets all the credit for making the national parks, but he would not have done that without John Muir. I think I'm saying his name right. John Muir took him out there and convinced him to save all that wilderness, and that's why we have national parks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Super fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
And dude, she's so much more knowledgeable on those fronts than I am. I hope to catch up to her someday. She's reading a book. She's reading like 6 books right now. Like she's more ADD as to where I want to start and finish something. She likes to like have different, like we'll be hammocking, right? This looks fantastic. I wish you guys could see this. She likes to be hammocking.
Yeah.
And she'll bring like 3 or 4 books with her so she can like have an option, right?
Right.
And respect to it, power to it.
Hell yeah. No, that's sometimes your mind kind of wants to follow different tracks. Like I guess I kind of float in the middle between those two. And where did you move? Did you make a move?
Yes, I put my pawn right there to capture your rook.
Cool. Man, yeah, my forethought on this game is not where it used to be.
I feel the struggle every day.
Oh man. And that, and then knight, and then my move to here to check with protection is gone. That's a good game. Yep.
Good game, man.
Good game.
Great game, actually. You did really good for not have. I'm assuming you haven't played in quite a while.
It's been a minute. It's been a couple of years. Yeah, definitely.
That was you had a lot of good ideas.
Yeah.
It's just the knowledge of like repetition with anything, man. Whether it's fitness, books, studying, whatever it is, repetition holds true with everything.
Absolutely. It's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say this is where I differ from a lot of people. I have too many fucking hobbies, man. Like most people, like I heard last night when I was working, some guy said, he's like, I couldn't just stay at home. I would go crazy and not having a job. I'm the exact opposite. I don't need a job. I have so many fucking hobbies.
Sure.
I'm never bored.
Nice.
Like I can keep myself entertained forever. Like the COVID lockdown, like granted not having the security of a job was terrifying, but the keeping myself busy is not a problem for me. Like I like to, because I don't care to be a beginner. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't care to learn something new. And so many people, I love chess because I see it in chess, right? Like I make all my friends play chess with me.
Yeah.
And they also they're beginners, and so they're not as good, and they get really discouraged. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with losing. Like that's how you get better.
Right.
I'm like, when I first started playing chess, I lost every fucking game over and over and over until finally I started paying attention.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then it's okay, I notice every time they open, they move here, or like this is doing this, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's pieces to the puzzle.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Do you and you just think that had to do with a bunch of exposure? Like the more exposure you had to it?
Yeah, I think exposure on anything is how you learn. Like I
Definitely.
think reading, like that's why so I counted the books I've read. I think I've read 9 books this past month.
Okay.
All right. So I've read The Art of War.
Nice.
I read a book called This Book Will Blow Your Mind. It's about like future science stuff and what they're doing. A lot of it I was pretty familiar with. Some of it not so much.
What were some of the stuff?
Like one of the things I was not familiar with at all is they're making an atom. I'm gonna butcher this because I'm a dummy guy.
Not at all.
But they're making an atom with an electric charge, and only an electric charge. So it's going to be, there's somehow, it didn't go into great detail about it because it was a book about a wide variety of stuff. But it was making an atom with just that electron charge.
So like take out the protons, just neutrons and electrons?
Yep.
So it would be a 0 on the elemental table, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're in the process of doing that. And so like that I had no clue with. I was like, wow, that blew my mind.
Yeah.
But then they talked about like some of the quantum mechanics stuff that they've done in the past, and I'm kind of familiar with, like I like to read about that stuff pretty frequently. So
sure,
some of that's not as like wow to me, right?
The quantum mechanics stuff?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, like, and they're always figuring out new stuff with it. But like, that book highlighted like how they move around and how like when they're observed they act differently.
Right.
Which is something we brought this up because we're going all over the place.
No,
but
yeah.
I wanted to bring up something to you. So the other day, I sent you that video, right?
Yeah.
And you said something about if this is a simulation. You made a comment about something like it was hard to wrap your head around like something being observed and being different, right?
Right.
How did you say it? Do you
so,
remember?
yeah, the video we were talking about was a video from another podcast. We'll probably have to put the link in the description or something.
Guys.
I forget who was speaking, but they were talking about how the like I got 1,000 words in my head and they're not the right ones.
Right.
They're talking about how consciousness is in every particle. Consciousness is not like a manifestation of matter, but matter itself is consciousness fundamentally. And then how we interpret it and discover it as matter is because we don't see the world as the real world. So the first thing that was brought up was
that's a beautiful summary. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah. The guy made the point that things that evolve to see the world for how it is go extinct. And so we have evolved to see things as icons, like the way the analogy I made with this is, or that he kind of made too, is the icons on the computer versus the ones and zeros in the machine. And so all things that are matter that we can come in contact with, we are just the cursor on the screen touching the icons, but we don't touch the ones and zeros. Right. And so I was curious if we are limited to not being able to see the real world, how are we able to tell that other things are able to see the real world? And that they went extinct because they saw the ones and zeros and not just a false representation of the real world. It's like, it made me think of Pirates of the Caribbean, where they're like, everyone who's seen the ship has died. And it's like, well, where have the stories come from?
Right, yeah. Right. I like that. So I thought of a pretty primitive, like, question, right? Or like answer. Well, like, I don't even know how to word it, like a dummy. But, so... it kind of goes back to the observable thing, right? Like when things are observed, like, and this kind of ties in with quantum mechanics, like if you observe an atom that reacts differently than it would if it was not being observed, right? And that's kind of to be said with how he was talking as well, that as you summarized, matter is a manifestation of consciousness, not the other way around.
Right.
And so...
for this theory.
Yeah, for this theory, right. So today... on my run, right? So we're gonna tie in. Everything's coming full circle. Right. I love it already. Today on my run, like we've been running here and there lately, trying to get back into the groove of fitness, right? Shit. Okay. And today I had an easier run than I have had in the past, right? And like from yesterday, I struggled really hard. So I made an observation, right? And this is a real phenomenon in the fitness world. I'm sure you're aware of it. So today when we went to the park was filled with people, as opposed to yesterday, no one was there. So because there are observers, I theorized that my run went better because I had people watching, which happens like when a woman looks at a man, our testosterone shoots up.
That's an interesting thing. Yeah.
So like, as above, so below as above, right? Like that's the Kabbalion that I just finished reading, right?
Okay.
And that basically says if things happen on the micro level, they have to happen on the macro level, which is I've always been a firm believer of. That's how the ancient Egyptians and Greeks philosophized it, as above, so below.
Okay. Yeah.
And so my question is, if that happens on a chemical level, like, right, if there are like actual physical changes in us when we are observed by other just people, like, would life not follow that same law?
Interesting. So are you trying to suggest that I can see the connection that you're making between observing the particles and them collapsing their wave function,
right?
And being observed. I think it's environmentally dependent like an X-ray won't change a broken bone to a non-broken bone or vice versa. I don't think, and that's a form of observation. But to say that X-ray doesn't have an influence on like maybe the bone growth or health, and that there's some kind of causality from observation, it's very interesting because I have to put it into their respective environments, because I think with when we're observing the particles in the wave particle form, I think the way, and I might be wrong because I'm also dumb, they use magnets to observe them, so it's not like a passive observance. It's active observance. Like they're introducing something into the environment in order to get feedback. Okay. And from my understanding, when they do that introduction, it collapses. But it's been constantly represented as just that's how we observe them, because that's what they have to do to see. It's like you have to reach out and touch something, but when you touch it, it moves. Right. It's like it moves every time. Right. It's always moving. Okay, that's interesting. That's kind of how I've thought about it for a couple of years, but the philosophy of it, the concept of it, the idea that things changed when they're observed respective to their environments is still with merit. Because so if we're talking, it would be called psychosomatic. So the way your psychology affects the body, which is the soma. It would be that because you felt other people around, that you felt more motivated to like push yourself, right? But I wonder if you would have the same effect if every single one of those people was replaced with a camera. So there's no living person moving around, but there's just a camera watching you run. That's interesting. Yeah, because then you're alone again, technically, but you have all these equipment, and if someone is just disconnected watching through the camera, at what point do they start to become real again? Is it so, if it's, and now I'm kind of making up a scenario in my head, because I don't see that. I see if it's just cameras and someone observing, you have the same kind of experience where it's just a run, and not as many people around. But if you have people on the mic talking, even if they're just talking to themselves, letting you know that they're there, like some kind of feedback. So like a signal or something. Yeah. Okay. So I wonder if things will like. Because as below, so, or was it? As above, so below, as above. I believe. I might be butchering that too, guys. I'm seriously dumb. But yeah. It's good. No, because it's a good saying, and I can't even really repeat it. So as above, so below, as is above? Yeah. Something? Yes. I'm saying it wrong, I know. No, you got it. We got the gist of it anyway. Yeah, so I wonder if that observation has to be, if it includes some kind of feedback in the relative environment, then it should have an effect. Like that's domino kind of falling on each other. Like as long as the dominoes are in the same area, that's kind of what I think on it. But yeah, I definitely think it can have an effect for sure. Something else that, like, I'm very careful of what information I put into my brain at all times, right? Yeah. So I'm picky with books that I read. I don't want to like read things like even this book I've started, Ralph Emerson. He's evidently, and I might be wrong, I'm only like 30 pages in, but from the first 30 something pages, he seems rather religious from my liking. But I still don't disregard anything that he says because of his spirituality, right? Yeah. I try to find whatever, but I also don't want ideas of bullshit put in my head. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm very careful with what I choose to intake. And one big thing about that is like I don't visit doctors often, ever. Like I have a theory that if a doctor says you're sick, you'll be sick, whether you're sick or not. That's like a placebo effect. Like a placebo effect, man. Like I've seen people give up. Like I've witnessed that from what a doctor has said. Like I saw my step granddad on my father's side. He got diagnosed with cancer, and within 30 days he was dead. Damn. That dude was walking around, moving heavy shit. Like he was functioning at a high level, and then he was dead within 30 days. And I'm like, he accepted that. Whether or not like he had cancer, like I'm not saying like the doctors gave him cancer or nothing fucking crazy. Yeah. But his acceptance of that disease killed him. No, to me, you know what I mean? I completely see that. I see that as totally a possibility, definitely. Where, because I I bet you we could find medical literature on depression, accelerated death, or at least some studies that have tried to gone on to that kind of thing.
Right.
Like,
Well,
yeah.
Just the placebo effect being real
Yeah.
should suggest, to me that's such a weird thing, that we know that the placebo effect is real, but we don't guard our minds to things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we know that it works, and whether or not it's a placebo or not, if it has the effects of anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's dangerous, and I know for a fact I'm susceptible to fucking anything and everything.
Yeah.
Like I would be the dumb fuck on the placebo, being like, "Oh my god, it gave me a rash," and I would fucking have a rash. Like that's just me. My mind's. When I was younger, I thought it was a weakness, but as I've gotten older, I think it's actually more of a strength. Like
The
I think it's
placebo effect?
yeah, I think it's a symptom of a strong mind.
Huh. Okay. So like your mind is powerful enough to like
Manifest.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I'm crazy, dumb.
No,
dumb,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, just take this for face value,
In
please.
good company. But like, no, that's really interesting to think about. I'm gonna slide that so they can see the full chessboard.
There we go.
But God, I think that's really interesting. No, I do believe that. I think the placebo effect is enough to suggest that people can absolutely like will themselves to death. And I wonder if it's even like a subconscious thing where if you think you're okay and it's just a sickness, like you kind of blow it off. Like someone back in the day, like someone told me like you're only sick when you're too poor to work. Otherwise, you're just not feeling well. Like
I like
and
that.
it's and it's like a mental thing. Like if you get too hungover or something, you're like you could call out or you could show up. And usually, if you show up, you make it through the day.
Right.
But you don't feel like it. There's a lot of mind over matter. Sometimes I'm just much more the like ideas I gotta digest and come back to.
Oh no, 100%, man, 100%. I'm all the time like, if we continue doing this, people will think I'm literally a madman because I'm constantly back and forth with everything in my head, man. And
sure.
And I love reading about weird stuff and philosophy and the unknown and like where we're heading and like you name it, man. Like I like the mystery to it. I like the thought provoke. I like things that make you think.
Absolutely, yeah, me too.
When I went back to college a couple of years ago, before I dropped out for like the 100th time, I found myself, which was fucking crazy, I found myself in love with math.
Nice.
I'd always hated math. But when
Sure.
I came back to school, I think I was 21. I was 21, and just between like being 18 and 21 years old, there was such a huge difference in the brains of myself and my peers that was in school with me.
Yeah.
And probably even more so now, just how things, like how the trajectory of things. But I found that math was the only thing that kept my brain critically thinking at the time. Like I had to like use it to solve what was going on.
Right.
And I respected that. I gained a respect and love for math. I'm no fucking good at it. Like, but I enjoyed it, which was fucking bonkers to me because I'd always hated it. Like,
Have you heard of the idea that math is made up? So there's an argument like
it is made up.
Is it?
I mean, kinda, yeah.
Or is it we're discovering the laws of nature into icons and using symbolism?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair argument, I would say.
Right? Well, if I'm not mistaken, this is just kind of like the debate. It's it's like because physics uses the language of mathematics to speak physics, and so, but are we always going to be wrong with our laws? Like, are the laws of physics, like our standard model, is not going to be always correct, just because it's all made up? I don't know. It's a very interesting concept, and I don't know if you heard about the change in the standard model on quantum particles, but there was a muon.
Yeah, that happened in 2017, right?
Did it happen back then? I just read an article the other day.
No, I mean, I might be thinking of something totally different. I feel like I remember reading something like 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, it totally can be. Just like mainstream, because what I read was more mainstream. What I've noticed is like a lot of stuff that comes mainstream is years behind.
Yeah, that is true, which is fucking nuts. Like,
yeah.
As someone, like, I've dipped off of the social medias. Like, I'm off of Facebook, off of Instagram.
For sure.
You know, no longer toying with that. But it would blow my mind mind, because it would be like I would see a meme or a post or a video describing something in science that I'd read about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is this just now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did I ever tell you that I read about Bitcoin when it was a penny for a Bitcoin?
Bro, me
too.
Me too.
Popular Science?
Bro, no, check this out. So I have an interesting story with this.
Okay.
So back in the MySpace days.
Wow.
Back then.
Yeah.
I stumbled on Bitcoin through it was a musician's blog. It was some like indie rapper or like underground rapper, and he was talking about Bitcoin.
Okay.
And he literally said, he was like, I feel like buying a bunch of this because it could be worth one day. And he broke down Bitcoin and how it could be used in his little blog, because I was reading it back then.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think I was like 12. And I remember thinking, I was like, man, I was like, if I had money, because, you know, a 12-year-old ain't got shit.
Yeah,
I was like, if I had money, I might actually throw it to this. And then lo and behold, 10 years fucking later,
dude,
Bitcoin's fucking everything.
You'd be rich as shit right now.
Dude, if I would have just bought $10 of that, billionaire maybe.
Like just at least a millionaire. Yeah. That's the same. Like I was reading in a Popular Science magazine. It was like in the back, I think the classifieds, where they were advertising, and it was just like a literal like little classified section, like an old newspaper, where it was like Bitcoin gonna like change economy somehow, and right now it was like penny stocks where it was really cheap. And I think they did a little article on it, or like a little suburb on how they were trying to disrupt like stock markets and everything. But yeah, that's crazy how like
fucking nuts, man.
missed opportunities, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, but is it like, okay, so is that a missed opportunity though? Because you didn't really know what it was worth, or
right? Well, I've adopted a new philosophy through some of my readings lately.
Okay.
I used to. I'm not materialistic. I never have been, and I've always kind of wanted money in a way. But now that I've gotten older, I give two shits about money. Money comes and goes.
Yeah.
Like my regard with currency is very little. I make sure the bills are paid and that I can go do something fun, you know, like go on a hike or something.
Yeah.
But I don't own a lot of things. My collection of things that I own, the only thing that I own worth anything are my books. Like, that's about it. Like, I don't even, like, I'm a gamer kind of, and I don't even game anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got a console with games I don't play.
For
like,
sure.
I just, my girlfriend's super in that boat as well. She has a philosophy, and I love this. This is one of my favorite fucking things about her. She has a philosophy that if she cannot fit all of her stuff in her car, she needs to get rid of some shit.
That's pretty dope. Hey, yeah, I respect that a lot. Especially for those you don't know, like right before me and Malachi met, I spent about 200 days sleeping in my car.
That's rough.
So
bud.
hey, it was a fun social. It was a social experiment. Let's just say, personal challenge. Yeah, hardcore challenge. But no, that's a good philosophy. Like I can respect that a lot. Like, yeah.
And it's funny too, because I was actually thinking about this today. Right? Is financial. Like I grew up in poverty. Is my background. And when I got older, my parents had better jobs and stabilized. So by the time I was a teenager, everything was kind of like normal, like lower middle class, even though that doesn't really exist anymore, right?
Right.
And but I remember everything, and I used to fucking hate it. Like I used to like, man, it made a hole in my heart, right?
Okay.
And I didn't know how to process that, but it's funny. Like I was thinking today, I was like, I'm so glad I came up that way. I was like, we live in a world that is so disconnected that just wants to focus on material. And I'm like, and everything in philosophy that I'm reading just tells me how incorrect our civilization is. You know what I mean? Like I keep saying this over and over, but I'm like, and I know everyone says this, and you know, it's hard. You got to be careful not to get caught up in the past and whatnot.
Right.
But to like romanticizing it.
Yeah.
But I for sure believe that that we have lost our way as far as society speaks.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of societies have. I think most societies do.
How do you think we lost our way? Is it?
like I told you this the other day, as far as like this quote that I read, and it ties in with another book, a whole separate entity that I was reading, which is, I think, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But the quote said, it said, when you live in a society that puts merit towards material, it generates thieves. And in the very same breath, I'd read something else that was literally talking about how it was a Native American book, and it was talking about how when the Native Americans, like if someone didn't have a tent, like they would be given a tent, and if they didn't have food, they would give them food. They would share it with them.
Yeah.
And because they didn't place merit in material, they were there for each other, which, you know, you can't do on a grand scale of hundreds of thousands and millions of people. Like, I understand that, and you know, we banded together initially for safety and survival, but we are well past that. We have conquered the
that threshold.
Yeah, so for the most part. Like, we still got to learn how to terraform to get rid of like super volcanoes and shit like that that'll kill us, and we got to learn we got to learn space travel to a degree to where we can you know, do that properly.
Yeah.
Right. That way we
Elon Musk.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We got to do those things to ensure our species survival throughout everything. But like, as far as like wolves coming to kill us or shit like that, like, that's gone.
That old school shit.
Yeah, that's well done.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Like, it sounds communist and sounds socialist and shit. And I'm not a huge advocate for any of that. But at the same time, I don't think capitalism's the answer either.
Yeah, I envisioned a dream of like some communal capitalism. So I've seen on the scale of things, it's like capitalism is the right, socialism is the left, communism is also on the left. It's supposed to be, it's like it inches left.
Right.
But it's like government control, people control, and then capitalism is kind of more like centralized control. Like, it's bigger companies and bigger organizations just take the place of big government. So is there a world where we can do like a communo-capitalist society where our money is our vote, essentially? So where you spend your money shows where you support. And then it would just come down to what's the competition like. So I don't know if you can compete. Well, so this is something I learned when I worked for Amazon. I didn't actually work for Amazon when I was a delivery driver, but Amazon has never lost a package in like modern society. And everyone who says that is like, you're lying, because like they lost my package last week or something.
Right, but that's the distributors, I would assume.
It is. Yep, they white label down to distributors, and the distributors lose the package, pay for it. Amazon takes the brand hit for it, but Amazon just gets packages to the warehouses, and from the warehouses they're done. It goes to the distributors. It goes to Amazon delivery drivers, which are pretty much all white labeled. And so, in order to break, like, if you just, I'm jumping around a lot, but if
we both are, man. It's hard to keep a linear pathway on stuff like this.
Yeah,
because the brain wants to.
It hooks into something that like that's interesting in your own head and kind of just goes with it.
Yeah. No, I have the same problem. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's good. But so it would be essentially, you'd have to find someone else to get packages to the warehouses. You'd have to figure out how to replace it. As far as like society goes with this meritocracy, I don't know if capitalism is the way or it is not the way, but we definitely have the wrong kind of cultural mentality from it. I think, and it is materialistically focused, even though material is. I just noticed your defense. That's fancy.
This was real quick. This was the very first thing I learned when I started playing chess when I was like 7. Okay. It's not a great defense at all if you actually learn to play the game.
Yeah.
Because like I took this online thinking I was gonna be something, and I got fucking butt fucked.
Yeah.
But this is I call it the pawn wall.
The pawn wall?
Yeah, it's a wall of pawns.
Yeah. Leaves a lot of angles open, but it's interesting for sure.
Yeah. So I wanted to see how you would merit against this.
All right. Let's see. But
So, would you like to keep this strictly on philosophy, or do you like current events as well and stuff like that, politics, like?
I was thinking philosophy, but really we could just freeball it, see where it goes.
Gotcha. I'm more so philosophy as well.
Why did I do that? That was a bad move. God.
But it's it does tie in a little bit to what we're talking about, right? Like we're talking about the materialism of America, and
yeah.
Like one thing, and I think me and you've actually talked about this a tad bit, but the way our mindsets work, like they have filled our heads with propaganda,
right?
Like hard filled our heads
yeah.
with propaganda, so much so that so let me tell you a story.
Okay.
This was yesterday. I'm a huge coffee drinker. I love coffee.
Right.
And I yesterday left to go to work, and I live right next to a McDonald's because there's one every 5 feet in the United States. And I decided to get a coffee. Well, I drove up. The line was to the highway because they don't have any bodies to work.
Okay.
Right. So I then proceed to go to Panera, which they have a sign on their thing that said hours changed due to short, or they didn't say, but I actually asked them, and they're having a worker shortage as well at the moment.
Right.
And so they had to change their hours for the next couple of weeks. Then I get to work. We're out of all of our product yesterday. Just about everything was out of like a dozen things, bro.
Yeah.
Because the truckers are on strike.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, it begs this question, right? Like, what is about to happen? Because right now we've entered this thing, and this is where the propaganda kicks in too. We've entered this thing to where they have been paying us an unlivable wage for so long now.
Right.
And I'm not sure if you're aware, but the minimum wage was created as a livable wage.
Yeah.
Roosevelt installed, like, wanted the minimum to be able to provide for people's families because he saw the problem almost a century ago of companies taking advantage, right?
Right.
And he wanted to stop that, but due to inflation and shit, they've successfully blockaded us from having these wages, right? But now the government fucked up and has let everyone ride unemployment with like all this extra cushion money that makes double minimum wage. Like you couldn't work for $15 an hour and make what you make on
I got like $600 a week. Yeah.
It
was like,
and that's still going on. They redid that like in January.
That's crazy.
And it doesn't end for another like 2 months or some shit, I think.
Damn.
And so people are not wanting to work because they're like, I can get paid something livable off the government, which I disagree with in a sense of I like to be independent. I don't like to have a handout, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't care to work. Like that's how I was brought up.
No,
right?
I feel it. The only money I've taken from the government, even though I could have done food stamps and everything, housing, whatever, I've only taken the stimulus checks and unemployment when COVID hit.
Same. That's the only time I've ever had help from our government, right? Because I believe if you're able, just provide. Like we all have a part to play, right? And I have no issue with that necessarily, right?
Right.
But I do agree though that so like where it ties into the propaganda, right, is that you hear so many people like the companies are going to be almost forced to raise wages now, or something bad will happen because they can't keep workers.
Right.
And so now it's like this question of, well, are they going to raise the wage, or are they going to? But people revolt against that and be like, if we do inflation and all, like that's horse shit. That's why we have fucking government is to come in and help us.
Right.
With regulation and shit to where they can't nickel and dime and fucking inflate everything.
Right.
Now, whether the government does that, that's a whole other argument in itself.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's where the propaganda gets crazy, because I hear from people with no health insurance, no medical and dental, that, we can't raise the minimum wage, and they're making less than $10 an hour. And I'm like, are you fucking mental? Like, what?
Yeah, I don't believe in trickle-down economics. I believe in trickle-up economics. This is why, like, the only presidential candidate I've ever actually, like, wanted to vote for was Andrew Yang. That UBI.
I loved it.
He at least, like, thought about different things and wanted to try things different. Like, yeah. You can always jump in. Like, I very much, like, when I talk, I jump in too much, but you can always jump into...
if I'm over jumping, please let me know. I get excited and talk over.
Me too, yeah. I do, and I feel bad about it.
It's a lot, Sam.
Yeah.
You're in good company.
Perfect. But I've had a few conversations with... I think it's a generational thing for sure, because a lot of business owners now are like 40s, 50s, like boomers, essentially. Like 50s, 60s, I guess would be boomers. But I remember talking to them, to one of them, and they were saying how they like to pay their workers $15 an hour, even though I was getting paid $11 at the time to do landscaping. Landscaping is a hard job.
Yeah.
And I had to fight for that $11 an hour because I knew I was a good worker. But other people there were getting paid $9 an hour. And Walmart starts at like 11, Target starts at 15. And so this guy's a multi-millionaire. He can absolutely afford to pay people a good wage. And you know what his problem is? He cannot find enough good help. And I literally, the reason why I went to start working at Logan's is because I went into him one day. I went to talk to him. He was trying to get me to be a crew lead. And I said, people need to get paid more. They need to start off at 11. And I just talked him up to 14. So I went from 10 to 11 in my first 2 days. Then I went to 14 by the end of my first week because I was like, I need a wage. We had the big ice storm. And we can't landscape during an ice storm. So I said, I need enough to make, so I have a literal rainy day fund. And for me, that was at least $14 an hour.
Right. And
that's in Alabama, like across in a small part of Alabama. In any kind of bigger city, it would be different. But even out here, $14 an hour is minimum for me to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And
just so everyone knows, $15 an hour without taxes is less than $30,000 a year. Just throwing that out.
That's
there.
Good. That's a good reference. That's a really good reference point. Yeah, it's not as much as people think.
It's not.
No,
not at all.
And then you get all these motivational speakers who come out and say you're worth $50 an hour, you're worth $100 an hour, and you're getting paid $9. So people aren't motivated to take these jobs. I got fired because the guy came on my crew and they gave him $10 an hour. And I went up to my boss and was like, you promised you'd give people on my crew $11 an hour. And he said, that's not your job. That's not your business. And I go, no, this is business, how people get paid. That's literally business, how much money we make. And he goes, you're just a landscaper. And I was like, you know what? And he was getting all riled up, getting angry, starting to yell. And I was like, I think we're just stressing each other out too much. We should just go our separate ways. And then I went to Logan's, and now I'm working there.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Right on. I'm doing everything in my power to get you bartending.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, you need some money.
It's but when I went out with a different landscaper, and he was talking about how he pays his people always $15 an hour, he was complimenting this lady who owned 5 different McDonald's because she cares about her people because she pays them $11 an hour. And I had to stop and say, I'm pretty sure by company policy, that's the minimum amount McDonald's will let you pay their employees to own a franchise, as part of their contract. Because McDonald's and those other places know if you pay people too little, you're not going to find good work.
Yeah.
And so there's this disconnect between these people who claim to care about their people while paying them minimum. And even when I first moved to the South in Nashville, I was going to be a manager for a General Juice bar. And they wanted to pay people $8 an hour. And the owners kept telling me how money is not an issue for them. And so I'd ask them, well, how do we do pay raises? And they're like, well, why do you want to raise all this pay? And it's because we're hiring adults. People think that these jobs are for teenagers or college kids on their summer break, but it's not.
And what kills me, this is what irks me to no end, is this argument right here of teenagers. I was a teenager that had a job, right?
Yeah.
Most teenagers that have a job need the money.
Yeah, I was being paid $12 an hour as a lifeguard though. I was getting good money. I wasn't making $200 a week. I was making $400 a week, or $300.
I was in high school, And this was like when I graduated, this was kind of shifted, right?
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I was making $7.25. I got a raise for a quarter after fucking hounding them.
Right.
To $7.50.
Yeah.
And I was working 40 hours a week, and I was making home. I think the take home from that would be $260 or like $250, $260.
Okay.
And that's less than $1,000 a month. And I worked with quite a few people who were not high school kids. They
Right.
were adults.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That had kids and shit.
That they're supposed to support.
And I like even then I was like, how in the fuck are they doing this? Like I never understood. And they don't do it. Not well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everyone struggles. And yeah, man, like I feel you 100% on the disconnect. I heard one guy theorize that there, and like I don't know if I agree with this at all, but I heard him theorize one time that you don't need a minimum wage. The minimum wage is what prevents people from getting paid what they should be paid. Like he made an example of if a guy can crush boxes and he's a $20 an hour box crusher, then you should pay him $20 an hour. But minimum wage prevents that.
But
I disagree.
Yeah, I disagree completely because the salesmanship on the business side says, well, if I can get that guy to work for $18 an hour, though he's worth $20, I'm saving $2 an hour.
Yep.
And that's how people in business are taught. And it's constantly, it's this constant struggle between the two. I feel the two arguments.
Something
really
else.
good defense, man. Really good defense.
You like it?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
Okay, a little more aggressive.
Okay, I see you. Something else too. So our job is having us ask donations for this charity called Autism Speaks.
Right.
Now, I hate charities.
Right.
Most of them. And I'm about to explain why, right?
Okay, yeah. I hate most charity drives, but I want to hear this.
I hate most charity, like any ones that, like, from my personal experience, this is just completely anecdotal, so, you know, take it how it is. But from my personal experience, any charity that I've ever seen come in and be like, hey, you know, donate to this cause. Anytime I've ever seen that, it's almost always been bullshit.
Yeah.
And so the Autism Speaks, like I heard how our manager was getting upset because no one's pushing it and whatnot. And I was sitting here, I was like, I like our manager. I think he's a good man for the most part. And I was like, you know what? I just want to see what this charity's about. So with a simple Google search, right? Like this is nothing like
right.
The first thing I search when I search charity, I look at how much they pay their CEO.
Nice.
Always.
Okay, yeah.
Always.
Because if that's more than like $100,000, I already don't like it.
Already hate it.
Yeah.
And I looked them up. Their CEO makes $654,000.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Almost $750,000.
Yeah. So
wow.
issue one, right? Just off the bat, I'm like, okay. I don't think if you're to me, in my opinion, you know, and I don't know shit about running charities, but in my opinion, if you're running a charity, you shouldn't be making over $500,000 or more.
Yeah,
that
man.
doesn't
You
seem
think
right.
like I think that if you made $130,000 and put that other $500,000 back in.
Did I move or is it your move? No, did I move right here or did you move?
I think you moved there. I moved to here last. I don't know if you moved after that.
Shit.
I went Bishop. I can't even check the
It's all good.
footage.
Do you want me to move or is it your move?
Go ahead. No, I think I moved.
Okay.
I really don't remember.
I don't either. But, okay. But yeah, anyway. So as we were saying, $650,000 is what the CEO makes.
Right.
So then I continue from there. And I find this article talking about how Autism Speaks refuses to allow people with autism in their leadership positions.
Wow.
And then...
How? What?
Yeah. So then the article continues and said when the previous CEO got confronted on this, they put one man that has autism as a representative, as a token, and he quit because he said they didn't listen to him at all. Then I continued.
This is crazy. Yeah.
This is all just from just a very easy research, right? All public knowledge, right? So then I found article talking about how 21 out of 28 people on their board have corporate ties to like big corporations and shit.
Okay.
So like that to me, like anything with corporate, you know, I'm not a big corporation fan because there's a lot of greed and shit that goes with that.
Right.
That's just a me thing. Then I continued on this. I found a whole fucking blog of autism. I don't know how to say this. Like moms with autism. Not moms with autistic kids. I found a blog about them talking about how that is the absolute worst charity or worst words the like, worst
or like nonprofit or
the worst charity, there we go,
yeah,
the worst charity that they've ever seen, because only 1%, I looked this up, this is true, only 1 to 4% of their donations go to families with autism, that 20-something% goes to fundraisers, and over 33% goes to researching autism, which their mission statement, if you go to their website, which I did, is to cure autism. So that kind of gets finicky in that self, right? And then a little bit more digging, I found out in 2019 Donald Trump signed a $2 or $3 billion bill to give that charity that much money in research. And you know what happened? Their salaries went up.
Damn.
Because I just did this. I looked up their salaries from the previous years.
Mm-hmm.
There's about a $300 to $1,000 difference.
Wow.
Ain't that some shit?
That's a huge fucking raise, my friend.
Yeah.
Wow. That could hire, at $15 an hour, that could hire at least 10 people to help you with your cause.
Yeah. Like, so, and they've been around for a couple of decades. They got bought out in, I think it was 04, 06, somewhere around that time. And within that time is when everything kind of shifted, from what I can tell in the company. Okay. And since that time, they have not had any breakthroughs in any of their research whatsoever.
Crazy.
So what's that money? What's going on with that money? And then, like, I was talking to my girlfriend about all this because I was like, don't push that shit. I was like, I don't believe in stealing from people, and that's theft. To me, that's how I see it.
So here's where I could come in with my side, that I'm like, all of that's very disturbing.
Okay, yeah, you hit me with some stuff.
No, but yeah, like, no, that stuff is very, like, I'm still trying to process some of that, like letting them on Autism Speaks, and you let the guy with autism on your board, and then you don't listen to him. Yeah, it's just like that elitist mentality. It's insane, kills me, man. Dude, tell me. God, it's so there's two things. There was an old TED Talk that I thought was really interesting that kind of changed my mind on like charity marketing. And that's like, and this isn't like to come back at you with any kind of thing. It's just like, I always try to bring up counterpoints to my own stuff.
I love counterpoints.
Yeah, try to keep it balanced. Yeah. He was talking about before marketing for his charity, they would raise like a couple $100,000, and that the marketing aspect would be less than 20% of their budget. Then when they moved their marketing to 50% of their budget, they went up to a couple $1 million raised for the charity, even after that marketing was allowed. So, but that wasn't paying people more salaries, or it could have been, or hiring. I would assume it would be hiring more people, more competent people, like things to get the job done. Right. Yeah, not just say you're doing something good, virtue signal, and get paid for it, paid for trying to do something good. I worked for it was going to be a nonprofit. It was when I was going to be director. I was director of user testing for a company that was doing a site for the blind. Do you have something to say? Or
no, not at all. I'm listening.
Sorry. And so I was very much about the job. Like, how are we going to figure out how to get this AI together? And in my first week, I was the AI facilitator. And they have a chief technical officer, like the CTO, who's supposed to be in charge of coding and programming. So, I mean, there's different roles and different ways you could specialize to support people. And I'm not saying that he should have known everything about AI to do that. But I was also the problem I had was I was also the developer for the program. So he would develop the main stuff and I was the supporting developer. But we had two other people, and one other person was computer savvy. Like, I'm barely learning Python and SQL. Right. But the other guy knew how to code, and he had this incredible program that he built that, to my knowledge, is the closest thing I've seen representative of how a human brain associates words to knowledge. Yeah.
Whoa.
So how I figured out what he did, he didn't really confirm or deny. He just told me like, yes, that's kind of what it does. But you take the hyperlink in links in Wikipedia and you associate all the words together. So you get the page, you get the main title, and you get every single word that has another page means it has something with significant information with it. And so you tie all these words together with significant information. So you type in one word like fitness and you get sports, biology, da-da-da. And it was funny because I put it to the test. So like we did fitness, we did sports, and then I did something more technical, proprioception, which is the sensation of touch and feeling your body in space. So it's a subcategory of your touch senses, essentially, because you'll have like thermal touch receptors, chemical touch receptors. These are pressure touch receptors. And when you type that in, a whole bunch of stuff came up. So it's like, I know this is a different tangent, but it was curious to me to see how this computer that I thought acted like a brain associated different words and was even didn't know that some words were associated together, even though like they are on textbook. And so it's like how it learned these words reflected on how it outputted the associations.
That's really fascinating, man.
Yeah, that was a random tangent. Because going back to the charity stuff, people didn't want to get the job done. And then let's go all the way back just to Logan's to get back on topic. The worst thing I think about it is it says it's a free advertisement or a free appetizer, a free dessert, or a free entree. Excuse me. Only when you come back next time. So they don't care today about autism. They only care next time you show up.
Yeah.
Like otherwise they would just cover your meal right then. And then I found out, because I would sell people and I would just tell them they could do it the same day, it doesn't cover the full meal. It doesn't cover the full appetizer. It doesn't cover the full dessert. I had to cover the rest of it. Because it says on it, free. And then why is there an extra $1.50 left? Like,
oh man, I get so frustrated.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I was looking at a second ago to make it sure. I was like, did I move? And I was like, yeah.
Where'd you go?
Where did I go? I don't remember.
I remember I moved my queen here after your knight here.
Yeah, I think my knight's here, right? Is that right?
Yeah, that's been there. Oops.
Has it?
Is that game?
No. Shit, is it my turn? Have I been preventing us?
I think it's your turn.
Shit. Might be, dog.
No, you good.
Here,
it might have been mine.
Let me move real quick.
Didn't you just capture a pawn? No?
I captured something. I have 2 pawns.
I thought...
I don't know. I'm going to move here, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to move here, and then I'll let you do whatever you want to do.
All right. Got you a double protect. Hard defense. I really just got to break up your pawns. But that was my problem with the charities. Like, if you want to say that Logan's cares, immediately your meal. Hey, if you want this meal to go to the other stuff, we'll put all the profits towards this meal towards the charity, and it'll just cover the food costs.
And this is something, and we're gonna get back on philosophy here shortly. Let me go on this tangent, and we'll curve. But this is something that just irks the shit out of me, man. Is like you have CEOs that make hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in all these corporations.
Yeah.
Like before I got rid of social media, I had a friend. He shared something about talking about, raising the wage, raising the bullshit, how it's stupid, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, and I was like, I just pulled up again Google, and what scares me, this is going to change. Like corporations will eventually control the information.
Oh, they already, yeah. Google is like, it's so interesting. Like all that stuff. But sorry, keep going.
Oh, but yeah, it's terrifying to me because like the day of being able to even find this stuff will come to an end, and that terrifies the shit out of me. But for example, I googled. I think it was either Amazon, Walmart, or McDonald's. Might have been all 3. I don't fucking remember. I've done it with all 3. Sure. And I broke down their CEO salary. I broke down what they pay their restaurant workers, and I broke down like how much they use in corporate spending and the excess money that's just there. And I'm like, the excess is always bonkers. outside of franchises, if you own a franchise, you kind of get fucked. Franchising, don't do it unless you're already rich. Like it's for the already rich. If you think you're gonna make money doing that, you'll get fucked in the ass.
You start making money after like your 5th franchise, which is like $2, $4, $5 million.
But depending on the franchise, there's a lot of franchises that have these things to where you have to keep their standard. And so what they'll do is after the 5 years is up or 7 years, whatever term you're on, what they'll do is they'll hit you with like, okay, you're outdated for a renovation, and then that's $1 million in renovations.
Oh yeah.
It's a fucking trap, bro. Like I don't know, man, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I learned I actually had huge long conversations with when I worked at the McDonald's on this side of the water. They're all franchised.
Okay.
And I used to work for them when I was a teenager, and I've always been inquisitive. So I've always, like, when I would talk to the owner and co-owner, like when they would come by, and I would ask them questions. And then I have a friend he's now their maintenance guy for the whole area here, and he's the sole maintenance guy. And he started out as just a fucking fry cook, but he's like
nice.
me. He's an inquisitive dude, and he's smarter than me. He understands like electric work and shit way better than I could. And I talk to him pretty frequently, and he's the same. He's always asking him questions, and like the stuff that like they've told us and like I've learned and then learned through other various sources and shit is just mind blowing to how like franchises is not the route to make money, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unless you're already rich, then it's
it's funny. It's interesting. I think that something that caught me with like, just because we're talking about social economic philosophy, kind of.
Yeah.
It's like, so you want to own a business, you want this business to succeed, and you'll never spend a day working in it as a franchise owner. You'll hire someone else to do it for you, and you just want this kingdom, but you don't tend to your kingdom. Mm-hmm. Like you want it's kind of like that. Like you just want to be in your castle, and you want the whole society to work, but you never leave the castle.
I'm gonna use an analogy. Have you ever gotten into gaming?
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of gamer are you?
I like shooters, really.
Shooters? Okay. What consoles did you play on? Like, so I could have a
Xbox, PC, and
Xbox. Like, what was the last console you on? Like Xbox One, Xbox original,
360.
360.
It would have to be.
And you still game on the PC?
Yeah, a little bit.
What game? Call of Duty, Halo?
Like Counter-Strike, Overwatch.
Counter-Strike's that.
Yeah. Classic, man.
You ever done DayZ? Just out of curiosity.
That's the zombie survival one? No.
That's one of my favorite games. That's the only game I actually still play. Like I'll hop on and play that a little bit on console. But anyway, that's totally unrelated. So when I was younger, I got involved. You're familiar with what clans are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So clans are like basically groups, communities of people that all want to play together.
Right.
Right. So I always like to bounce around games, and I always make friends on those games. But at one point, like I used to be huge into gaming, like huge into it.
For sure.
So at one point, when I was younger and had a lot more time on my hands, I was like, I want to get into communities because that was a thing back then.
Is that like a step up of clans?
It's basically a clan is just a bigger version of that.
Okay.
So it's where, like, clans typically wanted to do a competitive route.
Yeah.
Communities would have competitive routes, but it was just a place to meet people and to chill and to have like a sense of like friendship, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
And so I got involved with all these communities, and I ended up managing communities that had 10 to 20,000 player bases.
Nice. All right. Holy shit.
Like I was one of the top like 2 or 3 people, and and I ended up leaving the one I started with, and it's crazy to me that like I became like my name was known.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people had reached out to me like a year after all that, and I got brought on to help jumpstart one. They ended up surviving for a couple of years. I think they ended up shutting it down, but like I jumpstarted it.
Really
and
cool.
It blew my mind. Like I was literally like, I was like in a Halo lobby or something, just hanging out with one of my buddies, and like it filled up with like all these people that I used to know, and they were like, "Hey, we need you."
Man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right." So like, because I understood the structure. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, you have to implement this. You have to be fair. Like there are all these things, and this goes with business too.
For sure.
Like it's a silly analogy in a way, but like it is similar.
No. Yeah, I definitely think it. Yeah.
So to tie into the DayZ thing, right?
Right.
Because I like to just tie into everything I can.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge DayZ lover. It's the only game I can still play and get into. So when it came to consoles, I'd been waiting to play it for fucking ever. It's a MMO survival-based zombie game. when you die, you lose everything. You got to start all over.
Okay.
So it's pretty like brutal.
Okay.
And, the game's very buggy. If you've never played it, don't buy it. Like I tell people all the time, I'm like, most people will not enjoy this game.
Is it like Rust where you have to
It's very similar to
so you
Rust.
you just wake up with nothing, you have to forage for all your stuff, and then zombies come in?
Yeah.
Is there any warning about zombies coming in?
The zombies are only in cities.
Okay, so you can like get away from them.
Yes.
Okay.
They have an update coming out. Apparently, they make the zombies a lot more difficult to kill. I haven't got it yet. It's in the experimental phase. Console gets everything late, but yeah. So when it came to consoles, a couple months later, we got private servers.
Okay.
And which is not community or not public, but private.
Yeah, it's like just you and your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I decided to embark on something. This was like 2 years ago. I decided to embark on something that I hadn't done since I was a teenager, and it was to start a community.
Dope.
Right? And so I was like, I haven't done this in years. I was like, I want to see if these skills are still useful in this way.
Yeah.
So with me and a random person I just met on Reddit, I built this community called the Dark Zone. That's what we named it.
That's pretty good.
And it was a role play community. It was a little different than most communities I've done. I've never done a role play one, but this is where you take on. It's like Dungeons and Dragons. You ever play that?
I've always wanted to, but never have.
Yeah, I need to get you in a game. I love Dungeons and Dragons.
All right, yeah.
Huge nerd, guys. Yeah. Huge nerd.
Good company.
But so I started up this community, and like I was already starting building it before we even got the access to the servers. Like I'd pre-ordered it. I started advertising. It's like, guys, we're going to build this thing from the ground up. And within a couple of months, I grew it to 300 people.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was one of the most difficult things I'd ever done on this front, because I didn't have this ties in with a lot of what you're saying too. Not having the tools, like they did not give us the things we needed, so I could not efficiently do my job, and it was the most frustrated I've ever been in anything gaming wise. It was super annoying. They did not have a way for us to. There's a thing called whitelisting. Are you familiar as a PC gamer?
No.
Whitelisting is where you go through, we had an interview process to join our server. That's how serious we took it.
So opposite of a blacklist.
Every person that played with us sat down in an interview for about 5 to 15 minutes and answered questions, and we talked to them.
Huh.
It was a whole thing, man.
Yeah.
Most annoying fucking thing I've ever done. I hated myself for this.
Why'd you hate yourself for it? Sorry, is it my turn?
I believe so.
Okay.
I think I moved here.
And then... No, if you moved here, I retreated from that.
Oh, yeah. Damn, am I forgetting to move?
I don't know.
Bro. I'm sorry, dog.
No, you're good on... It's good conversation.
Yeah, man, I'm getting distracted.
No, it's good, yeah.
Shit, what do I do now? Son of a bitch. Hold on. 2 seconds.
Take your time.
What was I doing? I was doing something.
I always think it's interesting with communities and stuff. I'm just going to go on a random tangent what I think. Because I want to come back to this community stories and everything. We were on white labeling and how it was annoying. But because I always think about sportsmanship as someone who wants to... Personally, I want to evolve the field of coaching and training. And so I think of sportsmanship as not being separate from any kind of competition. So that includes gaming. And that idea of bringing people together, the community of it, and you have the competitors and the regulars, something that's always really spoken with me.
It's super interesting, man.
Sure.
So we weren't whitelisting is to where we did that interview process, and that's not unheard of. I wasn't original with that idea, but it's where you do that process, and then you put in that person's name into this code, and the code will only let that person in the server.
Oh, cool.
So, but we didn't have access to that at the time. They didn't give us all these tools till much later.
All the fancy stuff.
Yeah, and so it became the most heckling and frustrating and thing I'd ever tried to run. But you know what amazed me? I kept such a huge part of my community for the simple reason of that they all I'm not gonna be that as dramatic and say all, but they for the most part loved and respected me because I was super fair, right? How I ran things, I never showed favoritism. I tried to speak with everyone.
Sure.
I tried to, just be reasonable with everything. And it kept such a large base of that attached for so fucking long. And when I finally got tired of it, and I said, fuck this, I'm done. I handed it over to one of my friends who had been helping me do it. But no one carried that same respect. And no one, when I ran it, I made sure a standard was met. Like when you spoke in the interviews, I sat in a lot of times. I'll just jump in. If I saw one of my admins, moderators, helpers, whatever, conducting one, I'd hop in and listen. If I didn't like the way they were doing it, I'd be like, hey, we got to fix this. You didn't say that right. You should have said this. Because I was like, I know we're doing this for fun, but part of the fun is to making sure everybody stays on par. Right. And so that was a huge thing for me. And and when I left, the community fell apart. It went from a 300 player base to 20.
For sure.
And that was the most bonkers thing I'd ever seen, because I was just wow, just on one person's respect kept everything together for so long. Yeah. Not to toot my own horn, I know it sounds like I'm just being narcissistic as shit.
No, but objectively, it's a good point. People like to feel like they're respected and heard, and I mean, right back to the Autism Speaks, real big loop.
Seriously.
Because even someone who is mentally disabled, as they would be labeled, is still cognizant enough to be I'm not gonna tolerate you guys disrespecting me or not listening to me.
Yeah, that was one thing I stressed, right? To anyone I put in any type of even minor leadership positions, I was like, guys, I hold you to a higher standard,
right?
And I feel like businesses need to do this as well, right? I feel like this is where businesses are failing, right? Because it was I would be like, guys, y'all have to be better. When someone comes at you bitching, because people did all the time, or whining or complaining, whatever it was, I'm y'all have to be better than them, right? That's the whole principle of everything. And sadly, it wasn't as well received after I left. I forgot. I felt like I had a whole point that I was building up to with that story, and I totally lost it. I got engaged in the chess game.
Yeah, it does have a good point to it that people respect. People hear you. Yeah, no, it's not as easy as people think.
No, it's not, man. It's one of the reasons I love our manager so much, because he tries to keep everything chill.
Yeah, he's very good, very respectful. He's very low key. Do have a defense on that? Damn it. He's always spoken with respect to me.
Yeah, and he has that relationship with every single employee. And at times I wish he didn't, because we have a lot of shit employees.
I celebrate him as a very rare and good manager, because you're destroying my line, my defenses. Check. And then, it's hard to find people like that, and there's so many times I hear people who are like, you're just supposed to just do your job. Damn, I wish now I took that with that rook. And I hate that statement. They're just supposed to just do their job. Because it's if you're the manager, your job is supposed to help them do their job. If they can't do their job, your job is to do whatever you can to make it better. And I've seen too many managers just walk away, doing something blocked. It's curious to the question of the popularity contest, really. Do people get put in that position because they're more popular, or are they also just the only people who apply? When I was a lifeguard, I was going to be a head guard, but I also have a terrible sickness, Like nothing contagious, just
got
like
cancer.
Well,
Oh shit.
yeah.
I said that as a joke, and then I forgot. That's my own ignorance right there, Shen. My bad, buddy.
No, it's good. But I also just had all this inflammation as well too. That hurt a lot, and so like sometimes when I get too excited or too nervous, and it still happens to this day, I will good guard. Like I'll get too hyped up on something, or I will. I can overstress my body, and it kind of like it almost can shut me down. I want to say it shuts me down, but not always. It's more like bouncing a toothpick on an egg. And so I didn't go in for this job once, and they told me later I would have gotten it. If I just would have went for it. Yeah, and the other guy, there was really only one other person applying, and he didn't kind of want the job. He just wanted more pay.
That's
a huge... I didn't even realize you've been in check this whole time.
Huh? Oh shit. I
didn't know where that came from.
You're right. You're absolutely right. What did I just move? I moved that. My bad, ding dong. Move right there. We're not gonna be able to redo the moves.
Okay.
At least I don't remember them.
No, I don't.
So my move will be out of check, and it'll be back on you.
Okay. But what was I saying? I lost it. I don't remember. I was curious to when that happened. I always lose the board. I get stressed out, and people just don't always go for the job who should do the job. And that kind of ties back into politics, because I'm starting to get into a Washington perspective of politics. I think that should be happening, where and maybe the same for business, where it's not even necessarily if that person wants the job. It's they're the best person for the job, and so they get recruited and kind of pushed, and you kind of just push them into the job. But if they're the best person for the job and you kind of got to take care of your team, isn't that the best move to make at the same time?
And man, that's such a...
That's a bad move.
That's such a tough thing. Because I was actually telling Jake, our manager, the other day, I was telling him that I was like, every time I've ever... every job I've ever...
That was a really bad move.
Every job I've ever had, I've actually ended up moving up into some kind of leadership.
For sure.
And I've always hated it.
Really?
Every time. I've always left.
Why have you hated it?
Because it's never for much more money. And it's never for much more money. And unfortunately, what you doing, you little fuck?
Check.
It's never for too much more money,
right?
And the responsibilities always seem to increase, and it adds a lot of stress. And there's always every job I've ever had, that's always we got to meet this quota. We got to meet this quota. We got to meet this fucking quota.
Like the autism speaks.
And
stuff.
I'm like, you can't sit here and make me a slave driver. And that's what I feel like they always want people to be and do.
So your problem isn't with the leadership position; it's with being told what to do after you're given leadership.
And it has been in my opinion,
check,
that shit seems to happen when you're in those positions, right?
Yes, I think it's interesting because I'm trying to start my own business, and so I've thought a lot about this, how to encourage people, how to motivate people, the proper way, because you're trying to get a job done, you're trying to do it right, but the way people go about it, just like moderating a community, it's not everyone has that elite senior level gift.
They don't. And what most people don't realize is it's just respect. Be kind to people. You're that's so much of all of it, man.
Right.
So much of all of it. And it gets so overlooked. So fucking overlooked. So, alright. going away from the politics, let's get back on philosophy.
All right, yeah.
I feel like we've spun our wheels a bit with video games and bullshit.
For sure. I feel like this is a good slow-paced introductory video, though.
Yeah, it covers the broad spectrum of
Yeah.
what we're planning on like discussing in the future.
Right, and just I think it gives people an idea of what we're about too.
So let me ask you a question, man. We're going to start off with your specialty here.
All right.
All right. So you are wanting to go into...
I can just do this for check mate. Oh God, that's why. I was like, what am I missing? And that...
You almost had me in mate, man. You almost did. I had to really think to devise that. I had to really fucking think, so...
Kind of, yeah, I lost the board. I always lose a perspective on the board, like some corner disappears, which I think of like as a meta philosophy on myself, is like I always hyper focus in on too much, and even when I think I'm looking, I'm forgetting something.
Yeah, always, man. That's the beauty of chess, man. I love chess. It's such a beautiful game.
Definitely. I can't even do that, man. Killing me here. Literally. Gonna take my pieces, bring it down to a bishop and a rook, and that's enough to win. I'm trying to do the best I can because now I'm super forked. Like, I think something has to die, which sucks.
I think it does too, man.
I know.
Maybe not, but I don't see. I'm not seeing it. Doesn't mean it's not there.
Right. Yeah. But sorry, I interrupted your question.
No, you're good. So this is something I've asked everybody I've ever enjoyed philosophy with, right?
Okay.
So we're on the trajectory of AI.
Sure.
Like we're making self-aware AI. Like we're doing this as we speak. So when that happens, it could be tomorrow, it could be 20 years from now, who knows, right? Maybe 100 years from now, like no one fucking knows. But when that happens, would you consider them to be, for lack of a better word, real? Right? Would they be like as real as you and I?
Like a real intelligence, or like a?
Would you regard their life the same way you would regard human life?
Do you regard animal life the same way you regard human life?
Do I?
Yeah.
Me personally, yes.
You do. So you would consume human flesh for nourishment.
Probably.
Interesting. Cool.
I'm not opposed to it.
Right.
Like just straight up.
This is gonna be so hard.
But like to give you an example of how much I try to cater to all life, right?
Right.
I try, like, if I see a spider
Yes.
in my house, I try to not to kill it. Like sometimes I will, like, you know, if it's being aggressive with me or something, but I try to just take it outside.
Okay.
Like I don't eat, like, there's spider webs over my door or like
Yeah.
around my door, and I'll leave them. Like I've had guests complain about that.
Yeah.
Because there's spiders. I'm like, they catch the bugs for me.
Yeah. Just on this note, I had a jumping spider in my car once, and it was like the cutest looking little spider.
Me too, bro.
Dude.
No way. And it's chilled with me for almost a month.
Oh, see, mine, like,
Or
I
like
got,
2 weeks,
I wasn't sure about it. Like, I was like, I don't know if, like, you're going to bite me or what you're going to do. And I tried to catch him so I could get him out. And then he jumped, and it was like, after that, I was like, oh.
Bro.
I told him, I was like, I even talked to the spider. I was like, look, man, I'm just trying to, like, I'm helping you.
I
I'll
did
get
as
you
well,
out.
bro. I did, dude. I swear to God. That's amazing.
He jumped up and was just like, wow. And, like, left the string and just jumped down, went under my mat. And then, but he's probably dead now.
Yeah, mine would chill on my mirror. Like,
For sure.
And he would every time I got in the car, he would come down. It was like he was saying hi to me every
That's
fucking time,
dope.
and then he would go back up and he would hop around the car. And one time he did scare the shit out of me. He came right down on my face, and I was like, "Yeah, you can't be doing that." Shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, he I had a spider pet unintentionally.
That's I had there's a bumblebee, a king bee, that used to chase wasps in my backyard, and so like I'd go outside and just like chill out, usually be smoking or something, and the wasps would come by. They had a little nest, but this bumblebee came by because he liked our flowers and would chase away the wasps, and he would just chill with me, like he would like buzz right next to me and everything.
I love it, man. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I got mad as fuck when I was working in the industrial park over here at a factory.
Yeah.
I got mad as fuck because we were outside. This is back when I smoked cigarettes.
Yeah.
And we were outside smoking.
Do you want more water?
Yeah, I'll take some more. Sure. Love the hot leaf juice.
Yeah.
But we was outside smoking a cigarette, and there was a bee flying around, and it literally wasn't doing shit. And one of my coworkers stepped on it and killed it. And it made me mad. I was like, why would you do that? And they're like, it was just a bee. And like everyone got mad at me. They were like, oh, you're just being dramatic as always. I'm like, no. I try to live with the kindness of, if I'm ever in the wrong place at the wrong time, it is you.
Okay.
I'm like, if I'm ever at the wrong place at the wrong time, I hope I'm met with the same compassion I try to give other shit.
That's really good, man. But
Check.
I'd like to.
I
get.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, something I noticed with the spider and with the bee is, like, when I'm uncertain if something's like gonna be nice or gonna hurt me, I always default to it's gonna hurt me, and that always like has really fucked me over in my past. Like, but yeah, that's like good move. That's just my default on it.
I mean, that's most of everyone's default, man.
You think?
Yeah, probably so.
It's
like we evolved to make sure we persevere.
right.
You know, I just and I'm no fucking saint, man. Like, I kill bugs and shit, and you know, like
Right.
I'm not opposed necessarily to hunting and things like of that nature.
Yeah.
But that being said, I do try to be as peaceful as possible. I think that's important.
Okay.
I think that's very important.
Yeah. I am a hunter, but even in that regard, like, I do take it as a very sacred thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So interesting thing. I grew up in the sticks. Right?
Okay.
Like in the fucking boondocks, man. And I queen me.
Dead.
So I grew up in the sticks.
Yeah.
Good game, bro.
man.
That was great.
Really
you
good.
You did really fucking good that game. That actually scared the shit out of me. I thought I might lose there for a second. I was like, oh fuck.
Good,
So I had to literally pause there for a minute. I'm like, oh, let me look at this. This is starting to fuck me up.
Man.
But I grew up in the sticks and shit.
Right.
And even though me and my dad's never had the best relationship, I took for granted certain things that I didn't realize till I got much older.
Okay.
And one of those things was my dad's a hunter.
For sure.
And he taught me that, you kill and you eat what you killed. You
Right.
use the animal and things like that. And I for the longest, I guess I just thought like most hunters were like that. And there's a large portion of them that are. Like a huge portion, right?
Yeah.
But for every good, there's also bad. And like, I'll never forget, a couple of years back, I was actually talking with some friends of mine from high school.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew my dad, like they hunted with him and shit. My dad knows a lot of people, and they were like, yeah, they're like, your dad's like always been that way. They're like, they were telling me stories that I didn't even know about how he even like years and years ago would like get mad at people if like they shot a deer across the road or something, right? Or
Right.
shot at an animal across the road, saying that like that's not the way to go about doing it.
Right.
And I don't know, just hearing those stories, man, like it gave me this like newfound respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I think I'm not saying to hunt things to extinction. I'm not saying nothing like that. I don't even believe in trophy hunting.
Okay. Even if it helps animal populations, like, that's an interesting concept.
Well, yes. Which did you castle queenside?
I did.
Yeah. So you
Is
castle
it two more?
queenside. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I always thought it was all the way down.
Not on queenside. Queenside's
Gotcha.
a little different. Do you want to take that move back since you didn't know that?
No, I'm just gonna live with it.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So like a lot of people don't know this. The hunting in Africa is how they actually keep their conservation from legal, like literal legal hunting. And I tell that to so many people, and so many people try to argue that with me and like say I don't know what I'm talking about. But I've actually researched that pretty well. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well enough to know.
Right.
And some fascinating stuff is with that, man, because it's literally they like I could go on about it, but like they keep out poachers by legal hunters, which just blows my fucking like. It sounds like it's the most like counterintuitive thing ever, but that's how they do it.
They use the money to keep out poachers.
Yeah, because with the money they get from the hunters, they're actually able to afford people to patrol the thing for poachers.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't that not fucking nuts, man?
Yeah.
And there's things that people in wildlife do that I strongly disagree with all the time. One example of that is, you being from California, you might actually know something about this. Like in California, they had a problem with deer, so they let out like fucking mountain lions and shit.
Right.
And now y'all have a
we
problem.
Mountain lions. Yeah, problem with mountain lions.
And I'm sure you know that a little bit better than I would, but yeah. So that's a problem. Like, and they do that to ecosystems all the fucking time, man. And that's a huge pet peeve of mine. I'm like, I don't think you should introduce predators. Like, I don't think that's ever the answer. I think along the lines of kind of what you just said, man. Like if you start having problems, just let hunters hunt.
Yeah,
hunters will solve that problem. You up the number of tags and problem solved.
Introducing species has only gotten worse, but what about them buffalo?
Right.
They gone.
Another interesting thing with all that is, so when Trump came into office, and this might have been rectified. I'm talking on information from like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
Like, so this could have been well rectified, so forgive me. But I know in Montana, when Trump got into office, he signed this conservation law to where they couldn't hunt bears. Because there's this real weird stigma with bears, man. People don't want to hunt bears because it, like, Winnie the Pooh and Forrest
and like
Smokey the Bear and all that shit.
Yeah,
like they're like we associate them.
Teddy bears.
Yeah, teddy bear. Like we associate bears different. I fucking hate bears.
Okay,
like I'm going to the Smoky Mountains soon, and man, I'm terrified. Like even though there's just black bears up there, fuck a bear, bro. A bear can maul your face off,
bro. Yeah,
like, that's terrifying to me.
Yeah, I told you a story. I was camping once up Mount Whitney. Came back after a 12-hour hike, like from sunrise. It was like midnight. We've just finished from summiting. I came face to face with a bear. Yeah, it's not. Yeah. No, it's
fuck a bear. People don't realize. People that don't go to the woods. Like I'm a pretty big woodsman, man. I like being in nature.
For sure, yeah.
But people that don't go into the woods, man, they don't know. They don't know what bears are capable of.
They don't respect it.
No, they don't. And I do. And I fucking, like, bears are one of the few creatures I fucking hate. My girlfriend gets mad at me. She's like, why do you hate bears so much? I'm like, they can maul your face off. You don't know what that means.
But does that come back to, like, spiders and bees? Like, being nice to animals, and then maybe animals are nice to you? Like, maybe you find... But, so, do you find the nice chimp, or do you have the chimp... Like, that eat your face off.
I wouldn't fuck with monkeys either, man.
Yeah?
Any type of monkeys.
No, not even like the little spring monkeys. Like,
no, they'll bite your fingers off, bro.
They look so cute.
They look adorable,
I might just...
Hey, just to take a finger.
You know, you were cute enough. Like,
yeah. Hey, all the respect in the world to all animals and shit, but there's certain things I don't want to come face to face with.
Fair enough, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to walk up on a bear. I don't want to walk up on a monkey, gorilla, even bonobos, man. They'll fucking bite your dick off.
Oh, those are the red-ass ones?
But no, I don't think they're red. They might.
Those
be.
are
bamboo. I think you're thinking.
No, that's a plant. I was gonna say bamboo.
Bamboo. Baboons.
Baboons.
That's the word we're looking for.
I was gonna say bamboo too.
Yeah, I'm glad you transmitted that thought to me.
Yeah, exactly. But
is it my move? Did you move? I feel like it's my move.
I don't. Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna say it's my move because
I
think for real it is.
But all right, so then to come back to the original question: is AI a person?
What a tangent!
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, no, good. Right.
Because now we're talking about we have a pretty good foundation for like just life in general,
right? Yeah.
Being respected.
For sure.
So then, is it life or is it just advanced computation? So
isn't that what we are?
Are plants advanced computation? Are we more advanced plants, or are we downgraded? Or no, I would say we're upgraded from computers. So here's a question for you.
Okay.
Just while we're all on this, are computers smarter than people?
Not yet.
For sure.
But they will be.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know, man.
I think they will.
We're pretty incredible.
We are.
We are.
But
your nervous system is essentially electricity.
Yeah, it's insane, bro.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts.
And so, I don't know. What if biology is the ultimate form of computers? That's what I've started to think, like gathering, storing, and interpreting information, but it's also, we have a function in us where we have to survive.
You know what my problem with that is, though?
Yeah.
Biology gets so much wrong. Have you ever heard of stupid design?
Right.
Do you know what that is? Are you familiar with it?
Like just bad, poor design, like
Yes.
putting, but that's like a creative aspect on top.
Isn't
that a luxury on top? Because
to criticize our biology is a luxury. Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
Not critiquing, just asking.
No. I understand what you're trying to say. Like people could be stupid and can like miss things, and very simply.
No. Stupid design.
Oh, okay.
It's an argument against God or deity.
Oh, okay. No,
But,
I totally missed up. I thought you were talking like a bathroom stall door that opens up so you can't move in.
No. Stupid design is where, for example, our eyes. We only have two. Would
Okay.
it not be better if we had eyes on the sides and the back of our heads? Right? So
Right.
biology didn't design us that way.
Well, energy consumption. Then we're getting into like an evolutionary theory.
Yeah.
Then I would say the argument against dumb biology would be clever evolution. So it would be like the fact that we don't have eyes on the back of their head is because we grew into a social. We evolved to be social creatures. So we had people watching our backs. We didn't have to. Would be my argument towards that. Like I think it's very interesting. I would like to try to come up with arguments against stupid design on why they could be beneficial. Because like one thing people say all the time is how religion doesn't make sense.
Okay.
And there is an evolutionary argument for it where, and even today at the laundromat, some guy kind of reminded me of this. He said people back in the day were a lot more religious, and so they didn't really steal as much, and nowadays people steal more. And my first argument was population, that 1,000 people back then, 10,000 now. You had 5 bad people, now you have 50, 100.
Right. I also don't subscribe to religion equals morality.
I definitely don't.
I definitely I want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
I hear that I no longer claim the title of atheist. I did for a long time. Because actually within this last year is when I've renounced that. It's pretty fresh. But I will say I do not believe that morality and religion go hand in hand. I know too many horrible religious people to say that. And I know a lot of atheists who, outside of mocking religion, are pretty good people.
Yeah.
So I don't think they translate.
No.
In my opinion.
I don't either. I think that they're close because I think that religion is essentially like the laws of physics, where you believe these to be true and you act as in a way where this is true, and then hopefully like your life is good. I don't necessarily know if I believe in not for certain believe in afterlives or something of that nature, but I don't disregard it either. Like I don't think that maybe this is like our only stop. And if it's true that like that matter is always constantly reforming, that eventually that one day we can reconstruct ourselves, whether through assisted intelligence or through natural chaos. We just are reconstructed as we were.
Well, that book I told you about, God's Debris.
Okay.
Do you want me to tell you the thesis of that? Spoil it for you, or
Sure.
did you want to read it?
You can spoil it.
Okay.
I got a lot.
Tons to read.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so God's Debris is an interesting book. It's a philosophy debate, but it proposes the idea. It says, give a little preface of the book,
right.
just a smidge here. The book begins. This guy, he's delivering a package. He sees this door open.
Okay.
And he walks in to this guy's house, right?
Yeah.
And he says to the man, he's like, "I'm here to give you a package." And he's like, "Are you here to give me a package, or is the package here to give me to you?" Vice versa, right?
Right.
And it sparks this whole conversation that touches on everything from religion to relationships to, I mean, man, it's such a broad spectrum of shit that book touches on. It's pretty gnarly. Okay. But anyway, the main point of the book, what it all leads up to, is this. He proposes the question. He says, "What motivates God?" And did you move or did you put it back?
I put it back.
Put it back. Okay. He says, "What motivates God?" He's like, "What's the one thing that even God can't know?" And the guy's like, "What? What is it?" He's like, "God cannot know for certain if he kills himself, if he can bring himself back." He's like, so God has killed himself, and we are the debris of God trying to pull ourselves back together.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah, which is super interesting because when I read the Kabbalion, however the fuck you say that, it proposed a pretty similar thing. It proposed not that we were God's debris, but that we're on this level of shit, right? And that we're going to be on this level of stuff until like we reach another level of things, right?
Okay.
And that like it's just going to be like this ongoing thing, right? Like just like essentially like
so like are we upgrading like intelligence on that way?
The Kabbalion says that we upgrade on planes of existence or planes of something. Like right now we're on a plane of like I might be way wrong on this. This was kind of woo-woo-y for me, but it was talking about being on a plane of like matter. Like right now we're on a plane of like
3 dimensions.
Yeah.
Just on a side note on the mentions, I know we keep sidetracking. Like, I don't know if we really got to like any of the points.
It's a good conversation.
No, for sure. I have a different outlook on dimensions, though. Like, I'm not totally convinced in what's that movie, Interstellar. I'm not convinced that that's how the world works necessarily, or that it doesn't, but it's I think that time is the 0 dimension, or the primordial dimension, and then from there like space exists in 3 dimensions outside of it, and time is the only thing that makes sense. So I did this because I did this as like a calculus question.
Okay.
Is it my move?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have like f of g or g of f, it's the function at a point in time or at a certain event. And so you could either have space with a function of time, or you could have time as a function of space. And if you have time as a function of space, then when space equals 0, time equals 1, because time would still exist. But if you had space as a function of time, then and this might be too much.
Trying to keep up
for sure. So in calculus you have functions,
right?
And so what calculus is measuring is things on a curve.
Okay.
And so when you're trying to get to like f of x, you're saying on this curve, the x point. So when I say f of g, I mean when you get to point. You're looking for point G on the curve F. If you're on G of F, you're looking on curve G, which it would be like you could think of it as one going horizontal, one going the other way, or they just kind of crisscross.
Right.
And then F of G and G of F meet at the same point. And I could be reimagining this all wrong. Yeah, I just think my original point was that I thought that because if you have space but you have no time, nothing happens ever. Nothing moves, there is no motion, it's not possible. You just have things in the area. But time is at a standstill. And so nothing can exist. But if you have no space and you have time, things don't exist, but they have the potential to exist. So under that argument, I was always like, time isn't the 4th dimension, it's below the 1st dimension, and then we stack on top of it. And it kind of goes in that wave particle duality, where if you think of waves as a 2nd dimensional energy, the 3rd dimension is just a wave that wraps itself into itself and contains itself into a limited space, and that becomes 3-dimensional matter, and then the space holds itself together. And that's where I think like inert matter energy comes from. is from the wave function just flowing on itself. And I've always thought that it was basically just space and time moving together created that gravitational pull, and then the friction of kinetic force, which is like, for me, the fifth force is kinetic force. It's gravitational pull. It's just the inherent force of the universe. And this is where I'm obviously showing my craziness, because I'm not a physics master or anything. These are just theories I've thought of.
I need to get my buddy. He's not. He doesn't have a degree, but he loves physics. He studies it for fun.
For sure.
So
yeah,
I need to get him up here.
I'd love to.
He could probably help both of us.
Yeah. So I always I thought of I forgot where I was going with that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought. By no means.
It's good. No, the train was going off the rails anyways. I just keep having random tangents in my head come up.
Yeah, man, me too. I'm trying to keep up with some of yours. Some of yours is very advanced for me, brother. Like,
just I don't even know if they're advanced or just out there. It's just like, because it could all just be like the wrong concepts loosely applied, like in the right way, or the right concepts loosely applied to like something that doesn't make sense.
Right.
I'm not sure. Just like in this chess game, you keep pinning me down. You get very aggressive with your pieces.
Oh yeah, man. That's what that's my style.
Yeah.
So in chess, everyone kind of develops their own style to things.
Yeah.
I'm an aggressor. Like, I'm a very that's my one advantage, that I'm creative, is that my creativity comes from my aggression. It also is my biggest problem. Like, people that start to play me a little bit, and learn how to play me and shit. It causes me to lose quite a bit. But it's also like, to me, chess is beautiful because of the creativity of it.
For sure.
I don't look at it as a in a normal sense of like you get to like, that's why I quit watching chess for a little while, is because I got to this point where it wasn't creative anymore. It was just formula.
Yeah.
And that's the grandmasters. Like, that's how they play. It's no longer like, even one of my favorite chess people ever, Bobby. Shit, I know his name. Fuck. They're gonna kill me if anyone watches this that respects chess, because he's super fucking well known. Fuck. Bobby Fischer. Okay. Bobby Fischer is my favorite chess guy ever. And before his death, he's in an interview talking about, he's like, why do I hate chess? He's like, it's just memorization at this point. And
Gotcha.
And I get it. Like, I was getting to a point to where if I would have continued, I would have within 6 months to a year been a master. If I would, I was studying. Like, I bought chess books. I was studying it, and I was getting good. But I lost the creativity of it. Like, I didn't see the beauty in it anymore. It was just numbers. And now my skill is diminished, but I found so much more beauty in the games. So
it's very good.
To me, I would take that trade any day. For sure. But that's because I'm fucking crazy. And
hey, good company.
If you find beauty in chess, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you.
No, it's right where it should be.
But anyway, getting back to philosophy, right?
Right.
So, you motherfucker.
Got a few forks in. Getting back to philosophy.
Yeah, so getting back to philosophy. One really interesting thing that I've been reading a lot of lately, right, is check.
Okay, that's not an illegal move.
What do you mean?
Went straight across.
What are you talking? What?
You went from here to here.
What?
You went straight.
Oh, wait, I meant to go here then.
There you go.
Sorry.
That's a check.
Check, yeah. Sorry, I took the wrong piece.
No, you're good.
You're still in check. You can't do that. From my rook.
Oh. Clever move. Cool. It's not a dangerous fork. Alright. But,
shit, man. Sorry, I'm getting in the game.
No, it's good, me too. I can go back to answer. I could actually answer your question instead of just having more questions. So if AI gets to AGI, artificial general intelligence, because right now we've already kind of classified artificial intelligence for what it is now. When we get to AGI, that's like when it has just kind of what we consider consciousness. Okay. Would I consider it the same as a person?
Yeah, let's start with that. Well, I'm fucking getting my ass kicked in chest over here.
No problem. I don't hit. Does that have a personality?
Check.
For sure. It would. Let's check too. Much like I feel like we can develop attachments to. I try to go for a draw. I don't know which way I want to go.
These moments matter in chess.
I don't want to corner myself, but I also I can go one or two. So I don't know. It's a very difficult question.
Check.
Is that check? Just check.
Just check.
Nope, that's check.
No, it's not. Well, yeah, it is.
I think it's mate.
Is that might be mate? Then I forgot about my rook chilling back there.
Yeah, see.
Good game.
Good game. Nice
game.
move.
Great game.
I really don't know. That's a very curious question. Is the intelligence unique or is it collective?
So I try to keep everything very basic.
Okay.
My philosophy in life is to keep things simple.
It's a good rule if you could do it.
Yeah. I think simplicity is absolutely necessary. All right, man. Let's get this thing wrapped up.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
This was
Shen.
No Shen.
No Shen.
There you go.
First one.
First one. Bear with us. It might get better.
I'm sure it will. Yeah.
That was good, man. Fun.